Professor Zyx'nara stood before her class of eager alien students, her tentacles swaying with excitement. Today was a special day at the Galactic University of Xenobiology. They were finally going to study the most terrifying species in the known universe, humans. "All right, class," she burbled, her bioluminescent spots flashing in anticipation. "Today we delve into the mysteries of the deathworlders known as humans. Now, who can tell me why we classify Earth as a death world?" A timid gelatin raised a wobbling pseudopod. "B, because everything there wants to kill you." Zyx'nara let out a warbling laugh. "Close bloop, it's not that everything wants to kill you. That would imply malicious intent. It's more that everything can kill you. Isn't that exciting?" The class responded with a chorus of terrified squeaks, chirps, and one mournful honk. "Oh, come now," Zyx'nara chided, her tendrils curling in amusement. "Where's your sense of adventure? Humans navigate their death world daily without batting an eye, and they only have two." A crystalline being in the back raised a glittering appendage. "Professor, is it true that humans keep apex predators as pets?" Zyx'nara's color shifted to a deep purple of respect. "Excellent question, Facet. Yes, humans do indeed domesticate various predatory species. In fact, our guest lecturer today will be demonstrating this very concept. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Sarah Chen, xenobiologist extraordinaire and certified deathworlder." The classroom door slid open with a hiss, and in walked a human female. The alien students instinctively recoiled, some even entering defensive postures. Dr. Chen, used to this reaction, simply smiled and waved. "Hi, everyone. Don't worry, I don't bite." "Well, not unless you're a really good pizza," she winked, causing several students to flinch at the rapid eye movement. Zyx'nara's tentacles rippled with laughter. Dr. Chen, always with the jokes. "Class, you'll notice that despite being a deathworlder, Dr. Chen possesses a highly developed sense of humor. It's theorized that this is an evolutionary adaptation to cope with the constant stress of their environment." Sarah nodded sagely. "Oh, absolutely. That and coffee. Lots and lots of coffee." A gelatinous student in the front row raised a quivering pseudopod. "Excuse me, Dr. Chen, but what's that thing next to you?" Sarah looked down at the creature sitting obediently by her side. It was covered in fur, had sharp teeth, and possessed keen, alert eyes. To the alien students, it looked like a miniature monster. "This," Sarah said with a proud grin, "is my dog, Max. He's a golden retriever, and he's here to help me demonstrate how humans domesticate predators." The class collectively gasped. One student, a sentient gas cloud, even condensed slightly in shock. Zyx'nara's tentacles wriggled with excitement. "Fascinating, Dr. Chen. Could you elaborate on how humans managed to turn such a fearsome creature into a, what did you call it?" "A dog." Sarah laughed, a sound that made several students jump. "Well, Max here isn't exactly fearsome. Golden retrievers are known for being gentle and friendly. But you're right, dogs are descendants of wolves, which are apex predators. Humans began domesticating wolves thousands of years ago, selectively breeding them for desirable traits like loyalty, obedience, and cuteness." "Cuteness," a multi-eyed student chittered in confusion. "Is that a tactical advantage?" "Oh, you bet your compound eyes it is," Sarah grinned. "Max, show them your puppy eyes." On command, Max tilted his head and gazed up at the class with big, soulful eyes. Several students cooed involuntarily, while others looked around in panic, certain they were falling under some sort of mind control. Zyx'nara's color shifted to a fascinated pink. "Incredible. It seems to be emitting some form of psychic manipulation field." Sarah chuckled. "Not quite, Professor. It's just good old-fashioned adorableness. Humans are suckers for it. Watch this, Max. Roll over." Max promptly flopped onto his back, tongue lolling out as he waited for a belly rub. The class watched in awe as Sarah scratched his stomach, causing his leg to thump rhythmically against the floor. "By the cosmic egg," whispered a feathered student, "she's controlling it through some sort of tactile hypnosis." "Close, but no cigar," Sarah said, standing back up. "This is just how dogs show affection and trust. Max here is a trained therapy dog. He helps people feel calm and happy." A student made entirely of vines and leaves rustled nervously. But it has such sharp teeth. How can you trust it not to devour you in your sleep?" Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Devour me. The only thing Max devours is his own dignity when he tries to catch his tail, which, come to think of it, Max, chase your tail." The golden retriever immediately began spinning in circles, attempting to catch his own tail. The alien students watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as the fearsome predator twirled like a furry top. "As you can see," Sarah said, barely containing her laughter, "Max is about as dangerous as a marshmallow. A big, fluffy marshmallow with a fondness for belly rubs and tennis balls." Zyx'nara's tentacles were practically tied in knots from excitement. "This is unprecedented. Dr. Chen, you've turned a killer into a what would you call this behavior?" Sarah grinned. "A goofball, Professor. We've turned a predator into a lovable goofball." A brave, slug-like student inched forward. "See, can we touch it?" Of course, Sarah beamed. "Max, say hello." Max stopped chasing his tail and trotted over to the alien students, his tail wagging furiously. The class held its collective breath as the dog approached. "It's okay," Sarah reassured them. "Just hold out your appendage." and let him sniff you. That's how dogs say hello. The slug student extended a hesitant eye stalk. Max gently sniffed it, then gave it a small lick. The student jerked back, then paused, its eye stalk swiveling in confusion. It didn't eat me, the student said, awe evident in its slimy voice. Sarah laughed. Of course not. Max is a good boy, aren't you, Max? At the words good boy, Max's entire body seemed to vibrate with joy. His tail wagged so hard it looked like it might fall off. Zyx'nara's color had shifted to a deep blue of contemplation. Dr. Chen, this is truly remarkable, but surely not all Earth predators can be domesticated like this. Sarah's grin turned mischievous. Oh, you'd be surprised, Professor. Humans have a knack for befriending the unlikeliest of creatures. Did you know we keep big cats as pets sometimes? The class erupted into alarmed chitters and squawks. Big Cat's a student made of living metal creaked nervously. Yup, Sarah said cheerfully. Lions, tigers, even bears. Oh, my, Zyx'nara burbled faintly. But those are exceptions, Sarah continued. Most humans stick to smaller pets like dogs, cats, birds, or fish. Some even keep reptiles or arachnids. A student composed entirely of fine silk threads vibrated in terror. Arachnids? You mean those horrifying 8-legged monsters? Sarah tried to keep a straight face. Oh yes, they're quite popular. Some people even let them crawl on their faces. The silk student promptly fainted, collapsing into a pile of threads. Oops, Sarah said, looking sheepish. Maybe I went too far with that one. Zyx'nara, who had been turning various shades of fascinated blue, suddenly shifted to a concerned green. Dr. Chen, while this is all incredibly interesting, I must ask why. Why do humans insist on surrounding themselves with potentially dangerous creatures? Sarah's expression softened. That's a great question, Professor. The truth is, humans have a long history of forming bonds with animals. It's not just about domestication or turning predators into pets. It's about companionship, mutual benefit, and sometimes filling an emotional need. She knelt down next to Max, scratching behind his ears. The dog leaned into her touch, his eyes half closing in contentment. Take Max here, for example. Sure, his ancestors were wolves, but look at him now. He's loyal, affectionate, and has an uncanny ability to sense when someone is upset or in need of comfort. In many ways, dogs have evolved alongside us, becoming attuned to human emotions and needs. A bioluminescent student pulsed curiously. But surely there are safer ways to fulfill emotional needs. Why risk having a predator in your dwelling? Sarah chuckled. You know, to us, it's not really a risk. Dogs like Max have been bred for generations to be compatible with human lifestyle. They're not just tame, they're genuinely domesticated. It's in their genes to want to please us, to be part of our pack. She stood up, addressing the entire class. But it goes beyond dogs. Humans keep all sorts of animals as pets: cats, birds, fish, rabbits, hamsters, even exotic creatures like sugar gliders or hedgehogs. Each brings something unique to the relationship. Zyx'nara's tentacles curled thoughtfully. And what do humans bring to this relationship? Surely these animals don't stay merely out of altruism. Excellent point, Sarah beamed. We provide food, shelter, medical care, and affection. In many cases, the animals we keep as pets live longer, healthier lives than their wild counterparts. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. A crystalline student refracted light in a pattern indicating deep thought. But Dr. Chen, doesn't this go against the natural order? These creatures should be in the wild, should they not? Sarah nodded, her expression turning serious. That's a complex issue, and you're right to bring it up. For some species, absolutely they belong in the wild, and keeping them as pets can be harmful both to the animal and potentially to the human. That's why many countries have laws regulating exotic pet ownership. She began pacing as she warmed to the topic, her passion evident. But for animals like dogs and cats, thousands of years of domestication have changed them. Many couldn't survive in the wild. More importantly, they actively seek out human companionship. Max here would be miserable if he couldn't be around people. As if to emphasize her point, Max trotted over and leaned against Sarah's leg, looking up at her adoringly. Awu, who's a good boy, Sarah cooed. Eliciting a happy tail wag from Max, she looked back at the class, most of whom were watching the interaction with a mixture of fascination and lingering nervousness. You see, it's not just about humans imposing our will on these animals. It's a partnership that's evolved over millennia. Dogs, for instance, have played crucial roles in human society, as hunters, guards, herders, and now, as companions and even medical assistants. A gaseous student wafted inquisitively. Medical assistants? How can a dog assist with medicine? Sarah's eyes lit up. Oh, in so many ways. Dogs have an incredible sense of smell, far superior to humans. Some are trained to detect seizures before they happen, alert diabetics to dangerous blood sugar levels, or even sniff out certain types of cancer. And that's not even getting into their role as emotional support animals and therapy dogs. She gestured to Max. Take Max here. He's a certified therapy dog. He visits hospitals and nursing homes, bringing comfort to people who are sick or lonely. His presence can lower blood pressure, reduce anxiety, and even help speed up recovery in some cases. The class murmured in astonishment. Even Zyx'nara's tentacles were writhing with excitement. Fascinating, the professor exclaimed. So these dogs have evolved from predators into healers. Sarah laughed. Well, I wouldn't go that far. They're not replacing doctors anytime soon, but they are incredible partners in promoting health and well-being. And it's not just dogs, cats, horses, and even smaller animals like rabbits can be therapy animals. A plant-based student rustled its leaves nervously. But what about the dangers? Surely these creatures still have their predatory instincts. Sarah nodded, her expression turning serious. You're right to be cautious. Any animal, even a well-trained one, can be unpredictable. That's why responsible pet ownership is so important. It's about understanding the animal's needs, providing proper training, and recognizing potential risks. She knelt down next to Max again, running her hand along his back. But here's the thing. For most domesticated animals, especially dogs, their instinct to please their human companions often overrides any predatory instincts. Max here would sooner lick an intruder to death than bite them. As if on cue, Max rolled over, exposing his belly for rubs. The class watched in fascination as Sarah obliged, causing the dog's leg to thump rhythmically against the floor. This, Sarah said, grinning, is the fearsome predator in his natural state. Absolutely terrifying, isn't he? A ripple of nervous laughter ran through the class. Even the most apprehensive students were beginning to see the appeal of this strange furry creature. Zyx'nara's color had shifted to a curious orange. Dr. Chen, you mentioned earlier that humans keep other predators as pets. Could you elaborate on that? Sarah stood up, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Oh, absolutely. Let's talk about cats, shall we? The class tensed, expecting another terrifying revelation. Now, cats are interesting, Sarah began, pacing again. They're descendants of small wild felines, and in many ways they've retained more of their predatory instincts than dogs. They're obligate carnivores, excellent hunters, and fiercely independent. A gelatinous student quivered. And humans keep these monsters in their homes. Sarah burst out laughing. Monsters. Oh, if only you could see a house cat. They spend most of their time sleeping, demanding food, and knocking things off shelves for no apparent reason. The class looked confused. Zyx'nara's tentacles curled in bewilderment. I don't understand. Why would humans tolerate such behavior? Because they're adorable, Sarah said with a shrug. And despite their aloof nature, many cats form strong bonds with their human companions. They're also excellent at pest control, which is one of the reasons humans started keeping them in the first place. She pulled out her phone, tapping the screen a few times before holding it up. Here, let me show you a video of my cat, Whiskers. The class leaned in, some extending eye stalks or sensory appendages to get a better look. On the screen, a fluffy orange cat was frantically chasing a red dot on the floor, pouncing and spinning in circles. What's happening? A crystalline student asked, its facets reflecting the light from the screen. Is it fighting an invisible enemy? Sarah grinned. Nope, just a laser pointer. It's a little red light that cats love to chase. Completely harmless, but they go nuts for it. The class watched in fascination as Whiskers continued to pursue the elusive red dot, eventually crashing into a wall and looking around in confusion. As you can see, Sarah said, putting her phone away, not exactly the behavior of a fearsome predator. But cats can be incredibly affectionate and are known for their soothing purrs. Some studies suggest that the frequency of a cat's purr can actually promote healing in humans. Zyx'nara's color had shifted to an impressed violet. Remarkable. It seems that humans have a unique ability to form symbiotic relationships with a variety of species. Sarah nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. It's one of the things that makes humans unique. We have this innate desire to connect with other species, to form bonds that go beyond mere utility. It's not just about domestication for food or work. It's about companionship, emotional connection, and sometimes just pure fun. A student made of swirling gases condensed slightly in curiosity. Fun? You mean humans derive entertainment from these pets? Sarah's eyes twinkled with amusement. Oh, you have no idea. Half the internet is just videos of cats doing silly things. And don't even get me started on dog shows. The class looked at her blankly. Right, cultural context, Sarah muttered. Okay, imagine this: humans dress up their dogs in fancy outfits, train them to run through obstacle courses, and then judge them on how well they perform. We call it agility competitions. A silicon-based student crackled in disbelief. You make them perform for your amusement? Like slaves. Sarah's eyes widened. Oh, no. It's not like that at all. Dogs, especially working breeds, actually enjoy having jobs to do. These competitions are like games for them. They get treats, praise, and lots of excitement. Trust me, a dog that doesn't want to participate won't. To demonstrate, she turned to Max. Hey, buddy, want to show them some tricks? Max's ears perked up, his tail wagging furiously. All right, let's start easy. Max, sit. The golden retriever promptly planted his bottom on the floor, looking up at Sarah expectantly. Good boy. Now lay down. Max flopped onto his belly, still wagging his tail. Excellent. Now for the grand finale. Max, play dead. The dog rolled onto his back, legs sticking straight up in the air, tongue lolling out dramatically. The class gasped collectively. A plant-based student's leaves rustled in alarm. Is it deceased? Sarah laughed. No, he's just pretending. Come on, Max, up you get. At her command, Max sprang back to his feet, looking mighty pleased with himself. See, Sarah said, tossing Max a treat. He enjoys it. It's mental stimulation for him and it strengthens our bond. Plus, it's pretty darn cute. Zyx'nara's tentacles were practically tied in knots from excitement. Fascinating. So humans have not only domesticated these creatures but have also developed complex interactions with them. But surely this is limited to a few species. Sarah's grin turned mischievous. Oh, Professor, you'd be surprised. Humans will try to befriend just about anything. We've trained rats to detect landmines, taught parrots to talk, and some people even keep venomous snakes as pets. The class erupted into alarmed chirps and whistles. Venomous snakes, a crystalline student, refracted light in patterns indicating extreme stress. But why? Sarah shrugged. Some people find them beautiful. Others enjoy the challenge. And some just like being different. But don't worry. Responsible snake owners keep them securely contained. A gelatinous student wobbled nervously. Are there any animals humans won't try to befriend? Sarah pondered for a moment. Well, there are certainly animals that are too dangerous or unsuitable to keep as pets. But befriend? Humans have made friends with everything from giant squids to grizzly bears. There are stories of people forming bonds with wild animals like gorillas, elephants, and even great white sharks. The class fell silent, trying to process this information. Zyx'nara's color shifted to a deep blue of contemplation. Dr. Chen, this is truly remarkable. But I must ask, how does this relate to humanity's survival on a death world? Surely befriending predators is a risky strategy. Sarah nodded, her expression turning serious. That's an excellent question, Professor. The truth is, our ability to form relationships with other species has been crucial to our survival and development as a species. She began pacing again, her passion for the subject evident. Think about it. By domesticating wolves, early humans gained hunting partners and protectors. By befriending cats, we got excellent pest control for our grain stores. Horses and oxen allowed us to travel farther and work more efficiently. A student made of living metal creaked curiously. But surely in modern times, with your advanced technology, you no longer need these alliances. Sarah shook her head. You'd think so, but no. Our relationships with animals are more important than ever. Dogs help us detect explosives, find survivors in disaster zones, and even predict seizures in epileptic patients. Cats and dogs provide emotional support, reducing stress and improving mental health. Even wild animals play crucial roles in maintaining ecosystems that we depend on. She paused, looking around at the class. But here's the thing. It's not just about what animals can do for us. As humans have evolved and developed, we've come to recognize the intrinsic value of other species. We've learned that we're part of a complex web of life, not separate from it. Zyx'nara's tentacles waved thoughtfully. So you're saying that this propensity for forming interspecies bonds has shaped human development? Absolutely, Sarah nodded. It's influenced our culture, our technology, even our biology. Some scientists believe that our ability to read emotions in dogs' faces has enhanced our overall emotional intelligence. Our long history with animals has taught us empathy, responsibility, and the value of diversity. A bioluminescent student pulsed curiously. But Dr. Chen, doesn't this put humans at a disadvantage? Surely caring for other species takes resources away from your own survival. Sarah smiled. You'd think so, wouldn't you? But here's the fascinating thing. Study after study has shown that pet ownership actually has health benefits for humans. People with pets tend to have lower blood pressure, reduced stress levels, and even stronger immune systems. Children who grow up with pets often have fewer allergies and better emotional intelligence. She knelt down next to Max, who had been patiently sitting through the lecture. Take therapy dogs like Max here. They visit hospitals, nursing homes, even disaster zones. Their presence can lower patients' blood pressure, reduce anxiety, and even speed up recovery in some cases. How cool is that? The class murmured in amazement. Even the most skeptical students were starting to see the appeal of these strange human-animal relationships. Zyx'nara's color had shifted to an impressed gold. This is truly remarkable, Dr. Chen, but I must ask, how do you handle the inevitable loss? These creatures must have much shorter lifespans than humans. Sarah's expression softened. That's a tough one, Professor. You're right, most pets have shorter lifespans than humans. Dogs typically live 10 to 15 years, cats a bit longer. And yes, losing a pet can be incredibly painful. Many humans consider their pets to be family members. She scratched Max behind the ears, a wistful look in her eyes. But you know what? Most pet owners will tell you that the joy and companionship their animals bring far outweigh the pain of eventual loss. It teaches us about love, about living in the moment, and about the cycle of life. A student made of swirling plasma sparked inquisitively. But why subject oneself to such emotional turmoil? Surely it would be more logical to avoid such attachments. Sarah chuckled. Logical? Maybe, but humans aren't always logical creatures. We're emotional, we're empathetic, and we have a deep-seated need for connection. Pets fulfill that need in a unique way. They offer unconditional love, they don't judge us, and they're always there for us. She stood up, addressing the entire class. Think about it. In a world that can often be harsh and unforgiving, isn't there something beautiful about forming a bond with a creature that's completely different from you? About learning to communicate without words, to understand and be understood across species lines. The class fell silent, contemplating her words. Zyx'nara's tentacles curled thoughtfully. Dr. Chen, you've given us much to think about. It seems that this human propensity for interspecies relationships is more complex and significant than we initially thought. Sarah nodded, a smile playing on her lips. It's one of the things that makes humans unique, Professor. We're not content to just survive on our death world. We want to connect with it, to understand it, to form bonds with the creatures we share it with. It's not always easy, and yes, sometimes it's dangerous, but it's also incredibly rewarding. She looked down at Max, who gazed back adoringly. In many ways, our relationships with animals reflect the best parts of humanity, our capacity for love, our curiosity, our desire to nurture and protect. It's not just about turning predators into pets. It's about forming genuine connections across species lines, about expanding our circle of empathy beyond our own kind. A brave, slug-like student inched forward. Dr. Chen, do you think, could we perhaps interact with your dog? Sarah's face lit up. Of course. Max is always happy to make new friends. Just remember, let him come to you, and no sudden movements. Who wants to go first? The class hesitated for a moment, then slowly, tentatively, began to approach. Max, ever the goodwill ambassador, wagged his tail and looked at the alien students with friendly curiosity. As the first student, the brave slug extended a hesitant eye stalk towards Max. Sarah couldn't help but smile. This, she thought, was why she loved her job. Watching these alien beings overcome their fear and form their first tentative connection with the Earth animal. It was like watching a miniature version of humanity's own journey. That's it, she encouraged as Max gently sniffed the slug student's eye stalk. See? He's friendly. You can pet him if you like. Just be gentle. The slug student hesitantly patted Max's head, then recoiled in surprise. It's soft. Sarah laughed. Yep, that's fur for you. Pretty nice, huh? One by one, the other students gathered their courage and approached. The crystalline being marveled at the way Max's fur refracted light. The gaseous student was fascinated by the way Max's breath created swirls in its form. Even the plant-based student, after some hesitation, allowed Max to gently sniff its leaves. As she watched the interaction, Sarah felt a warmth in her chest. This, she realized, was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not our technology, not our strength, but our ability to connect, to empathize, to form bonds across the vast divides of biology and culture. Zyx'nara sidled up next to her, tentacles waving in amazement. Dr. Chen, I must admit, when we first invited you to lecture, I was apprehensive. Humans have quite the reputation, you know. Sarah nodded, a wry smile on her face. Let me guess, violent deathworlders with a penchant for explosions and a terrifying ability to survive things that would kill most species. The professor's color shifted to an embarrassed pink. Well, yes, but this is not what I expected at all. Your Max has done more for interspecies relations in the past hour than a decade of diplomatic missions. Sarah laughed. Never underestimate the power of a wagging tail and a friendly face, Professor. Humans may be tough, we may be scary sometimes, but at our core we're creatures who crave connection. With each other, with our world, and yes, even with species from across the galaxy. She watched as a particularly brave student allowed Max to lick its appendage, erupting into a fit of giggles at the sensation. You know, Sarah mused, maybe this is our real superpower. Not our ability to survive a death world, but our ability to thrive on it, to find joy, to create bonds, to see potential friends in the most unlikely places. Zyx'nara's tentacles curled in agreement. Perhaps you're right, Dr. Chen, perhaps this is why humans have been so successful in joining the galactic community. You don't just survive, you connect. As the class continued to interact with Max, their initial fear replaced by curiosity and even joy, Sarah felt a sense of hope for the future. A future where humans and aliens could learn from each other, where the boundaries between species could be bridged by understanding and empathy. And it all started with a friendly golden retriever in a classroom full of alien students. All right, class, Sarah called out, clapping her hands to get their attention. Who's ready to learn about another Earth animal? Ever heard of a creature called a cat? The excited chittering and burbling that filled the room told her that this was going to be a very interesting semester indeed. The excited chittering and burbling that filled the room told her that this was going to be a very interesting semester indeed. All right, class, Sarah said, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Who's ready to learn about another Earth animal? Ever heard of a creature called a cat? The alien students looked at each other in confusion, then back at Sarah, crystalline being raised a glittering appendage. Is it another predator you've turned into a pet, Dr. Chen? Sarah grinned. Oh, you bet it is, but cats. Well, cats are a whole different ball game. She pulled out her phone and pulled up a picture of a fluffy orange tabby cat lounging on a windowsill. The class leaned in, some extending eye stalks or sensory appendages to get a better look. "This," Sarah said with a flourish, "is my cat, Mr. Whiskers." A gelatinous student wobbled nervously. "It looks pointy." Sarah burst out laughing. "Pointy. Oh, that's a good one. Yes, cats can be a bit pointy. They've got claws and teeth. But don't worry, most of the time they use them for important cat business like shredding furniture and bringing you half-dead mice as gifts." The class looked horrified. Zyx'nara's tentacles curled in confusion. "Dr. Chen, are you saying these cats destroy your dwellings and present you with corpses? And humans allow this?" Sarah's grin widened. "Allow it? Professor, humans go out of their way to adopt these little fuzzballs. We buy them special toys, fancy foods, and even build them elaborate climbing structures which they'll ignore in favor of the box it came in, of course." A student made of swirling gases condensed slightly in bewilderment. "But why? Why?" "Ah, now that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?" Sarah said, her tone both amused and affectionate. "The truth is, cats have this uncanny ability to wrap us around their little paws. Sure, they can be aloof, demanding, and sometimes downright destructive, but they're also incredibly loving in their own way." She swiped to another picture on her phone, this one showing Mr. Whiskers curled up on her lap, purring contentedly. "See this? This is why we put up with the 3M zoomies and the occasional hairball on the carpet. There's something incredibly soothing about a cat's purr, and when they decide to grace you with their presence, well, it feels pretty special." The class murmured in fascination. Even Zyx'nara looked intrigued, but Dr. Chen, a plant-based student, rustled curiously. "How did humans come to keep these cats as pets? Surely they were not as easily domesticated as your dogs." Sarah chuckled. "Oh, you've hit the nail on the head there. In fact, there's a running joke among humans that we didn't domesticate cats, they domesticated us." She launched into an explanation of how cats likely began their association with humans as mousers, keeping grain stores free of rodents. Unlike dogs, who were actively domesticated and bred for specific traits, cats largely domesticated themselves, choosing to hang around human settlements for the easy access to prey. "So you see," Sarah concluded, "cats kind of invited themselves into our lives, and being the suckers for furry creatures that we are, humans were more than happy to oblige." The class was hanging on her every word now, their initial fear of Earth's deadly creatures replaced by fascination. A silicon-based student crackled curiously. "Dr. Chen, you've shown us how humans keep predators as pets, but surely there must be limits. Are there any animals too dangerous for even humans to befriend?" Sarah's eyes twinkled. "Oh, my dear student, you clearly underestimate human determination, or perhaps overestimate our self-preservation instincts. Let me tell you about a little thing we call wildlife rehabilitation." For the next hour, Sarah regaled the class with tales of humans rescuing and rehabilitating everything from orphan bear cubs to injured eagles. She told them about marine biologists who formed bonds with octopuses, about elephant sanctuaries where pachyderms and humans worked side by side, and about the occasional ill-advised attempts to keep big cats as pets. The alien students listened in rapt attention, alternating between amazement, horror, and amusement. Even Zyx'nara, who had started the class with trepidation about the dangerous deathworlders, found herself chuckling at Sarah's stories. As the class neared its end, a bioluminescent student pulsed thoughtfully. "Dr. Chen, after everything you've told us, it seems that this ability to form bonds with other species is a fundamental part of human nature. Do you think humans could form similar bonds with, well, beings like us?" The classroom fell silent. All eyes and various sensory organs turned to Sarah. She smiled softly, kneeling down to scratch Max behind the ears as she formulated her response. "You know," she said finally, "I think that's exactly why I'm here today. Humans have this innate curiosity, this desire to connect not just with the creatures on our world, but with the vast, wonderful diversity of life throughout the universe." She stood up, looking around at the class. "When we first ventured into space and discovered we weren't alone, sure, there was some fear, some trepidation, but mostly there was excitement, wonder, a burning desire to learn, to understand, to connect." Sarah's voice took on a passionate tone. "That's the thing about humans, we're not content to just observe. We want to interact, to form relationships, to find common ground even with beings as different from us as, well, you all are." She gestured to the class, to the myriad forms of alien life represented there. "Look at us now. A human standing in a classroom full of species from across the galaxy, all of us learning from each other. If we can turn wolves into dogs and wildcats into purring lap warmers, who's to say we can't forge meaningful connections with intelligent species from other worlds?" Zyx'nara's color shifted to a deep, thoughtful blue. "Dr. Chen, I must admit, when we invited you to lecture, I was apprehensive. Humans have quite the reputation, you know." Sarah grinned. "Let me guess, violent deathworlders with a penchant for explosions and a terrifying ability to survive things that would kill most species." The professor's color flushed to an embarrassed pink. "Well, yes, but this "This is not what I expected at all. Your lecture, your Max, they've done more for interspecies relations in the past few hours than a decade of diplomatic missions." "Never underestimate the power of a wagging tail and a friendly face," Professor Zyx'nara winked, "or the human ability to find common ground in the most unlikely places." As the students began to file out, chattering excitedly among themselves, many paused to give Max a final pat or to thank Sarah for the eye-opening lecture. The brave slug student even asked if it would be possible to have a cat visit for the next class. Once the room had cleared, Zyx'nara approached Sarah, her tentacles waving in what Sarah had learned to recognize as a gesture of respect. "Dr. Chen," the professor said, "I believe we may need to revise our curriculum. Perhaps it's time we stopped teaching about humans as mere deathworlders and started exploring your species' remarkable capacity for interspecies connection." Sarah smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. This, she realized, was why she had become an xenobiologist in the first place. Not just to study alien life, but to bridge the gap between species, to foster understanding and connection across the vast divides of biology and culture. "I'd be honored to help with that, Professor," she said. "After all, that's the real human superpower, isn't it? Not our ability to survive a death world, but our ability to thrive on it, to find joy, to create bonds, to see potential friends in the most unlikely places, whether they have fur, feathers, scales, tentacles, or crystalline structures." As she packed up her things and prepared to leave, Sarah couldn't help but feel optimistic about the future. A future where humans and aliens could learn from each other, where the boundaries between species could be bridged by understanding and empathy. And it all started with a friendly golden retriever in a classroom full of alien students. As Sarah and Max walked out of the classroom, she heard a student call out behind her, "Dr. Chen, when's the next class? And can I bring some treats for Max?" Sarah turned, a broad smile on her face. "Same time next week. And treats are always welcome. Just make sure they're safe for canine consumption. Maybe we'll even have a special guest. How do you all feel about meeting a cat?" The excited chittering and burbling that filled the hallway told her that this was going to be a very interesting semester indeed. As she walked towards the transit pod that would take her back to the human quarter of the station, Sarah couldn't help but chuckle to herself.